was interesting. Blitz, Lion, Jackal. This is going to be a very difficult one for the defenders to be able to hold, but they're going to go straight to tellers rather than downstairs from Mouse. But then again, this is the team, as we've said, that will play things a little bit differently. All
right, let's get the show on the road, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 for the night. Of course, in Group B of North America for Playdate number 2 is SK Gaming versus Mousesports. And map number 1 in best of 3 series, Bank. We'll see this the second time in a row starting off. And as you say, won't have CEO first of all. We're going to be starting off with Teller's Archives. And it's just interesting to see how we've been having picks and reactionary operator picks compared to what we used to have before. Kix had a very pertinent point that before we used to see top 5 operators being all above the 50% mark and going to the 79 to 80%. Yeah. Now it's like Habana Lion on attack, and then the rest are like, yeah, I guess we can fill in depending on what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Same thing for the defense here, but maybe to some extent overly relying on the Mira.
Yeah, and this is the line has just really changed up how people have to play. Now Blitz as well, I would say to an extent, as he's very powerful at the moment, especially in combination with Lion. Just being able to push very aggressively, because if they try and run away from the Blitz, you can just mark them. I like that angle there from Adam. Trying to get some angles onto anyone that might be playing too aggressively on the door, and then there's people playing up in the CEO office area. See if they can clear them out. This is what the Blitz is going to be really good for, is clearing those upstairs roamers if he goes to push, but he's got to watch his angles here and make sure that he doesn't get flanked. This drone's going to just do a little bit of work ahead of it, but he's also a walking drone to be able to push into them here, and these extra sight lines definitely help. Now, those castle barricades, Kix was talking a bit about them being prevalent on this, but they're also really good for when Lion's in store here. So, for example, he could move a little more safely behind the castle barricade because of less sight lines. That wall being opened up hurts him in the mark. The Shark gets the first kill to be traded by Min.
And nicely done here is that we'll get the frag on the side, as you say, but there's still 2 players waiting for them in the back, and that's basically will get the kill on Hot and Cold. There's 2 players to clear out, and well, they realize, okay, we burned out 2 players. We burned out the Jackal and the Lion. We burned out a minute plus on the time. We can push back. We still have the advantage.
That's a huge roam advantage on this.
I mean, Blitz might be tough, but when you don't have the support of a Jackal and a Lion, and you have to rely on your own smokes for the push,
yeah,
it's much more complicated.
Not to mention your last 2 players are the hard breachers. They're meant to help open up the site. I mean, you have a little bit of redundancy, so you can take advantage of that, but they're both going to be a little more useful in terms of that. They can't go frag hunting. You can't have them both helping Blitz out, trying to chase down those roamers. So this is really going to come down to good intel to be able to make this work, because they're going to need to catch them off guard with some of those drones and actually pinch it. But until they get in here, Mint is just going to walk around and try and keep their front area as secure as possible so they can push into the building more safely and do some droning. Jarvis doing some droning into the actual site itself, and they're going to need to clear those hallways because there's a good flank angle, not to mention they can come around from above, jump over the railing, and get around behind them. So they just don't have a lot of map control at the moment. See the roamers working freely on the skylight side. Those castle barricades, of course, as well, going to help the players if they decide to go back upstairs. And the mute jammer's also going to make this difficult here, as their drones are going to be a little less effective.
And just with the manpower difference, it gives the defenders such an advantage. C4 will get thrown right in front of the Blitz. They can't take him out just yet. They pull him back, and basically, well, he'll be able to help out with this one. Vertical gets the kill on Mint. Pojo Man will refrag one of the best thermites in the business as he sniffs a bit of that smoke, but no problems just yet. Goes in for the plant. As the last 3 players will try to push in. Jarvis with a great pick on Vandal Hook at 1. But Neptunes will refrag, going in for the 1v1 against Pojo, and somehow he wins it! Pojo Man will clutch the first round, and the ace thermite here. What a play! What a play!
Yeah, what was that? They had all the advantage there. They got all those C4 kills and almost got a smoke as well. I mean, good heads-up play by Jarvis as well, just completely pinching them out. They didn't have any other way to rotate around to stop that plant at the moment. And that really cost them. Just they were stuck in that room. I know, a thermite clutch.
A thermite clutch. This is like the grand
after planting himself.
Yeah, the grand battle of thermites is between Pojo and Goga in the entire world. Who is the best? And here with a start,
good start. Yeah,
it's a very good start for Pojo.
So now we're actually going to see our first Vigil here, which is going to be something that's going to be interesting in counter to perhaps Lion, because he's able to safely stand still without getting drowned out as badly. However, that's where the Jackal comes into play. So he's going to have to be extra conscious about where he puts those footsteps in terms of where he rotates around. If he rotates to areas that are near entry points where Jackal can come in, there's a good chance he's going to be able to catch one of those footprints, and then it's going to be very difficult for him to hide, because then Lion can also pressure him. And then once those drones come in, it's just a pinch. But they do have the advantage of having Pojo Man on that Echo. They could get a little bit of mobile intelligence as well to be able to help him out. Also, that can help those roamers in a pinch situation if the drone is off-site to be able to stop him from being pinched, for example. So if you've got a roamer trapped in a situation and he has an escape route, but he can't because his rotation's been cut, you can have the Echo drone able to stop that, but that depends on them being able to do it. They're doing a little bit of a setup here in the open area and kitchen. They've got one mirror window as well as the rotation, which is pretty typical to rotate into that office because it gives them the ability to kind of flank around a little bit. Not quite this huge open area hold that we saw from Rogue, but...
And I'm not sure which hatches they open within the site. Maybe we can go to that, Marcy. Thank you very much. Down in open area.
Yeah,
so
like
they only have the office one to run through. They'll keep the second one not even reinforced, so just in case they'll need it.
Server stairs, yeah, that's a good one because that is one where you can all of a sudden come from above when they try and go for that plant, which I would imagine they're still probably going to go for a typical plant down in the server side just because pretty much we've seen every do it, and Thermite is hanging out down in the sewers. However, Neptune's is up here with the actual diffuser. He's going to be there trying to take control of open area and open the hatches for them, those hatches we were just talking about, which he doesn't necessarily even need the Hibana to be able to do it, and they've even opened one for him.
Now Mark the Shark going in to drone here, and they see with the dedication to reinforcements in open area, it forces the attackers, of course, to spend a lot of time on here before they come down to the site. The entire point of this for SK is to burn time before they have to fall back because of the rotation being so close to them. They'll spot out the Valkyrie. Jarvis right behind, gets one, can't get the second. And that's actually vertical. That will kill his own teammate at the end. And they exchange the Lion for the Valkyrie. Though in the meantime, Hot and Cold will go down to Neptune's with the Hibana taking out the Vigil. A good start for Mousesports, but losing the Lion when they pretty much rely on him for this quick push, I'm not too sure how this works out. There's still an Echo alive,
they still got the
and Adam
as well, so there's still some Lion-esque power available.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Remote mine has been set up on the stairs to alarm Mint in case somebody pushes through onto him, and Vandal will come in and be set up for a diffuser plant. They have the man advantage. Adam will get pushed back here thanks to the Sophia. And basically, this Vandal comes in for the back plant. Spraying from Pojo, but he's not. There we go. It's Adam that'll sacrifice the C4 first of all, and then they'll be able to use... Oh, nicely done. Mint gets the headshot. Neptunes will go down. They also spot the Claymore, and that will get taken out. Unfortunately, Beastly takes control of open area and gets one. That is the diffuser that'll get planted, and Pojo yet again, the double at the end of the round. Both headshots, and the Echo clutches it. The support player every single time. The Thermite, and now the Echo.
They just can't seem to win their gunfights. Unfortunately, it's just really costing them. Obviously, though, one of them was a team kill in the back, and that was Mark the Shark going down. And that was a lot of utility they really could have used that probably would have saved some lives on those rotations from Ella, for example, coming up from those stairs. Might have not been possible if they'd been using the Lion around that time to be able to go for the plant. I do like that they were able to take the server stairs and push down aggressively to actually get the plant down that early. But it was a situation where they didn't really get a lot of kills before that. They lost a lot of control of the map, and we're just considering flank watch as the most important thing for them to be able to stay alive because they had someone playing in the open area, for example, to be able to watch from behind. But that flank watch wasn't enough if you can't win your gunfights, and then you lose those people on that flank watch, and then they're just able to push you like that. Obviously, the great play, though, coming out from Pojo Man, just getting those great kills, making it a lot harder to actually do anything with that plant.
Now, of course, as you highlighted, the biggest loss was Lion. And after that, the whole thing kind of, goes downhill. It goes very much favored to the side of the defenders. Here, Neptune's going to set up a mirror window from garage into the red hallway.
Yeah, it's going to give Mark the Shark the ability to actually watch red hallway out here from the Echo position that we've talked about in previous matches that we've seen. For example, even Shate playing quite a bit.
Six Invitational, we did indeed see this.
It's become very popular because he only has to watch one angle to make sure he's safe for the most part, because it's very unsafe to try and push around on him from the entrance that comes down the stairs. So he just watches the one entrance for the most part, and he's going to be there late in the game, which is where you want an Echo usually, especially we saw Pojo Man last time. So he's going to be very useful there. And that mirror window is actually going to be really helpful to make sure he's able to watch any kind of red hall flank. So let's say someone comes around from the vault side. But that really depends on his timing. We've seen sometimes that Echo just not do things in time, try and come back and clutch it after it's just a little too late. There is a Jackal, of course, coming out along with the Lion again, as well as the Blitz here from Mint, who we saw fairly effective last time. They are going to do some droning before Mint has to go everywhere. But he's going to roam clear from the top this time instead of trying to push in from the lobby. which is makes a little more sense for this particular site in some ways, as they don't need to necessarily take control of the front of that site the same as you would when you're trying to take Teller's archives.
Mitt will be leading the charge, of course. He is playing the blitz here, and he'll have the support of the Jackal right above him. The Habana as well. Top joining in, making sure nobody can test them through Skylight just yet. Neptune is just downstairs. He sets himself up in the vault. And right now, a very passive game. Just trying to figure out where your opponents are
just
and
getting
set up
map
for
control at this point. And they're doing a good job of it, though.
But it's taking a bit too long in this one. We're a minute 30, and just now they get to open area. Obviously, with the Habana being upstairs, it's much easier to just shoot down with your charges. Kairos will open up the hatch, and Mint will get ready to push. Of course, the mirror window in the back here from Garage means that any push from the Blitz, because this is the Blitz's push,
that's
an
an unusual window, too, because usually you see it on the other wall, on the CCTV wall. So he's going to play it back there. And that's almost, in a way, a direct response to the one kill England got through that soft wall previously on Bank in the last match.
I think a setup with a mirror window into Garage and a second one from CCTV is a much better setup.
They're usually going to be throwing from here anyways, and you still get the same line of sight. And the Vector's still pretty good at that range if you're having Mira play it, as well as the SMG. So it does seem like a more effective way potentially to play that.
So Mint just on the blitz, he's waiting for the line to trigger, and indeed he will. That's hot and cold, as now they force out the utility from the smoke.
That's good timing, though, because that's going to counter the smoke's delay as well.
30 seconds on the clock as Jarvis is set up in the elevator. Might just drop right at the end. That's the last smoke that'll get burned out. Still need to burn away a C4 and maybe even a second one from Beasley on the pulse. And that's Adam that'll spot the Echo drone, but he can't quite get the angle on it just yet. Mark the Shirk will have to come out of Yokai, as Neptunes will get one. A challenge 1-for-1 here in the Garage, but Hot and Cold will get one hit. He'll get the second as well. Running in with the Lion into the red hallway. Neptunes was jumping up, getting one, but Adam will refrag. Taking out Mark the Shark. Neptunes goes in for the 1v1 and will drop finally. That's Hot and Cold on the ground, but Adam will refrag. And Adam, 50% HP. Pojo Man alive in the back, and Beastly still alive. No more Nitro Cell to play around with, and with only him alive, the cardiac sensor is unusable, if you will. Adam will get dropped, and Beastly again turns it into a 1v1. Pojo, can he clutch for the third round in a row? That's the real question. Gets spotted, but no, Beastly's ready. The headshot comes down, and that's Mousesports to pick up their first round on the board.
I thought Pojo could go for his third clutch, but just played it a little too far. He could have played it on the other side of the stairs, for example, had a little bit more room to move. Might have been able to rotate even up to the server hatch as well and played from up there if he needed to try and get a little bit of a different angle. But unfortunately, I feel like both of them were a little too greedy on those kills. Adam playing on the back of that truck as well. Peeking when he didn't need to, because all he needed to do was burn time. He could have even fast peeked it just to keep him busy. And it was unfortunate, just them both hoping to get the kill and close the round out, rather than actually just trying to focus on burning time. And that really cost them the round, but they are at a 1-point lead still here nonetheless, and they're playing pretty strong. SK, as we were talking about before, helping Pioneer, the old CEO holder, are going to be going for that this time as well. They're going to be bringing a Doc, interestingly enough, something we don't see a lot of.
It's either a Doc or a Rook.
Yeah, just not a ton of those, but we did see Slash playing that, for example, on the Rook the first round as well, getting some good wallbangs even with that ACOG, or the MP5 is fairly effective at a nice long range like that he was playing it. So I can definitely see some utility there. And with the Doc, if you say falls behind the desk, for example, he could potentially pick himself back up. So he does have, you know, a little bit more play there. But the I think the hitbox is a little more kind to you as Rook in terms of not getting headshot as easily as Doc. So that is the downside of the ability to pick yourself back up, is you need to not get headshot. Otherwise, you're just dead. We're going to see IQ brought out as well. They're going to be able to get some idea of the utility here. No mute or anything like that they're going to see, but they don't have a Thatcher to be able to do anything about a lot of that utility, and no Pulse are going to catch out or anything on that regard. So outside of repelling these windows and getting some idea of what they're doing inside, I don't really think they're going to find out much other than Valcams here, because it's not like the castles are going to come up. Doc's got nothing that shows up. The smokes aren't going to show up because they're not pre-planted, and the mirror windows aren't going to show up either. So you're just not going to see anything.
Well, Vandal and the team are now setting up to push for Mousesports. Hopefully they don't end up losing the Lion again, and they'll pick up the IQ on Beastly. It'll be interesting to see how they set him up. I mean, there's not going to be a ton to do.
Yeah.
Because of the setup from our defense here at SK. But
decent gun and 3-speed though, so you can't, and frag grenades, so you can't completely discount IQ.
the Commando, the 5.52 being extremely strong, that's for sure. Mark the Shark can play all the way. Sometimes we do see a Glaz that sets up all the way here because he can just help a push into CEO from the back. And here with the Lion, at least it makes it a lot more complicated for even a Doc with an ACOG.
Yeah, and that makes that castle barricade a little more effective though, because without a Glaz, you have no way to shoot through that. But they do have, they could use an X-Cairo on it, but they've got no Zofia or Ash to be able to open that up, and that is a downside of not bringing a soft breacher that can use at a range.
No, Jarvis will get spotted here, or will get the spot on his opponents that are moving up to the spiral staircase from lobby. And Pojo just has perfect LOS on them. Jarvis will throw out his only Nitro Cell. Won't get anything for it. He'll get spotted, and the Lion will pop the E1D in the back. And they're just waiting. Crossfire is set up correctly here, but Beastly with the AUG will land the kill, and that is the first man down. Adam out of play. Vandal taking a lot of damage, but Vertical will finally finish off Jarvis, and this is turning off very well for Mousesports. But a refract from Mint. Murder holes are already set up for SK Gaming, as they can maybe find frag, but the Kairos will open up the mirror window, and they'll force Pojo into the back of the desk, but Vandal will go down. A nice nail and a headshot here as he runs behind the castle barricade that will protect him. Still have a Habana to play with, but Hot and Cold will get the snipe on Neptunes, and there's no more Thermite, and Diffuser will get dropped. E1D, one more out the gate. Mark the Shark across the map will find a hit on Mint. Turns it into a 2v2. There's only one so near to the objective, and that's the problem. You have your 5th all the way on the outside in Garage. It's going to take so much time. With 25 seconds left on the clock, there's not much that Mark can do. He'll get taken out by Pojo. And this is going up SK Gaming as Mousesports will get dropped. Nicely done by Pojo, taken down Vertical. And even with the setup being well executed, with frags going the way of SK at some point, it still was traded. Yeah, the defense used utility. But
the defense did a great job making it, again, a one-sided battle like I was talking about previously. They set it up so they had the deployable shields, the castle barricades. They made sure that no one was trying to breach even from the other side. They didn't set up any kind of pinch. They just completely fought from the lobby side. And those were all losing fights for them because they didn't have the angles, because the angles were all determined by the defenders. You had, for example, the Doc. They're on that deployable shield, able to fight that tight little spot just to the right of the shield and be able to hide when he needed to. That gave them, between the castle barricades and the deployable shield, they could sit still so much longer with that Lion. And yeah, the Lion, I assume the thinking was we can have him firing from afar because he can use his ability from anywhere on the map. But again, he's a 2-speed. He's not going to jog all his way into sight and be able to help out that early. So
here's the question, though. Was the setup fully because Mousesports was expecting to push into Teller Archives, which is why they had the setup with the Thermite and the Habana?
I mean, that would make a bit more sense. But they didn't even try and blow open the wall, from what I could tell. It was a situation where they didn't really fully utilize their utility.
They kind of pushed into a brick wall and didn't do anything, even though they had the
They did use it on the mirror window. I would give them that. They definitely got the mirror window open, and that was a big advantage there in terms of getting some sight lines. But again, these were all sight lines that were determined by the defenders. They set up every single angle, and they played them. I mean, obviously, there was still plenty of frags come out from the attackers that were able to kind of catch them off guard because they were all playing such a tight group right there that if they get caught off guard and then be pressured by the Lion, they still had to be able to sit there, aka sit still. But now we're seeing another one. This is one that I like a little bit more. Sometimes you see Ash do that as well, to be able to fire from there. Get that nice long angle down that top hallway. That's a smart way to play. We're seeing a lot of this where people are fighting that angle as well to be able to open that door on this site. It seems to be pretty effective.
I'm just liking more and more Zofia play because the lifeline gives you so much leeway for even if you miss, if you encounter a castle barricade and still need to use your lifeline on a hatch or something, you have 2 of them. You also have your flashbangs that you can bounce into the or concussion nades that you can bounce into any office that you'd like to push. Zofia is just looking more and more like a perfect pick for most.
And that's why, actually, Zofia has a slightly higher pick rate than Ash, which is unheard of. But it's definitely, like you said, the flexibility, utility really matters. It's obviously the hitbox is a little bit chunkier, and you deal with a little bit more of a speed hit, but you can take a lot more bullets in the process, and that makes for a good entry fragger.
7.62, pretty darn good as well to utilize. So
Blackbeard's coming out this time here. They're pushing with an aggressive shield push here, but Mark the Shark already getting 2. Good start for him.
Oh, not good at all here. Mint will get one. He spots the second as well, but there is a third in the back. Jarvis will be able to help out.
He's pushing in. Mark's pushing in very aggressively and dying a little too early.
Yeah, they spot him out, and Pojo will finish him up. That's Beastly down on the floor. Now they have control of the top. With 2 players alive, it's a mute, and the smoke and the C4 is in the hand of Vertical. He's waiting for some info, for somebody to peek from the top. Fight me, I dare you.
Yeah.
But he'll use it. For some reason, take down the door.
Well,
Okay.
good utilities. I don't think it was meant to stick on the door. I'm assuming that was meant to go through the hole there. Nonetheless, it wouldn't have done anything either way. So
He was expecting the push to come in a lot quicker than this, but now Mint has full control, and they can just go in for a plant. There's not much that can be done. He doesn't want to burn his second smoke grenade. See, the flashes are being thrown in. Unfortunately, they're not thrown
that might
far
have been to burn
enough.
the ADS.
Yes. Don't really want to burn it around with your smoke. He'll drop the mute, and that's Vandal now left alive as he reloads with the SMG-11. And now let's go in for the kill, but no, Vandal will grab one. Information still being relayed here as Mint will down and finish off Vertical. Fire still being shot with the SMG-11 in the back from the smoke as he goes in for the 1v1. The 870 try to nail the feet of Mint, but Mint finally be able to overpower him with pure flashing. We'll be able to clean him up, and SK go up. They're on their 4th round on the board.
What we're seeing with Bank is a lot of very aggressive attacks on the Teller whenever they're playing Teller. We saw it from Rogue as well when we were talking about that lobby take from earlier, where they brought the glass. It just seems to be working very effectively when you combine Lion and the Blitz there. I mean, it doesn't have to be Lion and Blitz, but you see how effective that is, especially with Mint playing that the Blitz very smartly in terms of baiting things out a lot of the time. Like you saw, he baited out the C4. He was baiting out smokes when they were attacking the basement. He's just playing good at playing aggressive and then tethering back very often and making sure that they use all their utility that would get him before he has a chance to be gotten. And he's just really baiting them out constantly, and then they're able to get both those doors and seal off that middle door. Last time it was Jarvis sitting there holding that angle on the middle door, the one that connects Archives to Teller. Both times they're cutting that off. They almost need a rotation from a different side there to come from Archives, maybe like an impact hole or something like that. Obviously, that does give them the ability to rotate around on you as well, so you need to be able to guard that and need a little more manpower in there. But nonetheless, it seems they just every single time steamroll right into Tellers. Lose a lot of people doing it, but once they get in there, especially with that shield, they're in such a good position to just cut it off the plant. And it's working fairly consistently, I would say, despite the loss of manpower as they do it. You're already see Jarvis on pulse this time, probably playing Gold, I assume.
Even a Z-frame Mira here being set up with a soft wall. They'll open up the full side here. This is starting to become more and more of the norm. Open up. Don't force yourself to stand behind fully reinforced walls, because as with most things in Siege, they work both ways. And sometimes when you need to retake or realize that there's an open opportunity for you to get aggressive and get a couple picks, well, there's a hard wall right in front of you, and you can't really do much against it.
Yeah, and we see the trend of a lot of teams playing from B instead of playing inside that red hallway, because red hallway can be dangerous when you get flanked, say, from garage side, or if anyone's able to get down those stairs on you, they have a quick run in. Whereas B, you can play a little more safe, because as long as they don't come from that window behind you, which doesn't seem to be that common, you have the ability to play a lot of angles a little more safely, unless you say, for example, what England did, and they just wall baiting through the soft walls, which they're now countering.
There's either that, or there's even taking control of the desk in open area. And that gives you a pure line of sight into anybody that wants to. Yeah, assuming you can hold it. Sometimes we'll see a Habana maybe stationed up there, and if she can just peek down there and find anybody that's trying to rotate into the office itself through red hallway, then that is a huge pick that you can have. Sometimes we'll see the Blitz even running it.
We are seeing a Legion. I think that might be the first Legion we're seeing, surprisingly, who actually has a pretty high pick rate now. I think across regions it was somewhere near 50%, or 45% I think it was, which is pretty good for an operator who didn't seem to be as useful in previous seasons, now coming into his own, especially in a situation like this where they could stop the plant potentially by throwing a Legion Mine right there, because you cannot plant while you have a Legion Mine in your foot. But Gas Grenade is going to be doing that job for right now, as all 5 members of both teams are still alive, and and they're getting ready for the plant here. This is going to come down to a massacre down in the last 30 seconds.
They're going to rely on Beastly here, who has not lost the drone thanks to the mute jammer in the back. There's a lot of time left with a minute on the clock. And already we see the canisters being used up. Vandal is waiting for information from that drone. And we were talking about this, the admin office hatch that gives you a full line of sight in the back. You can use, especially having Zofia, you can just pop in with your concussion nades and just pull everybody back from the defenders and force them into, well, this situation here. As you see, Vertical and Mark will get one each, and even Vertical with a second, but Hot and Cold will refrag. It's at least one for himself, but still with 4 players alive on Mousesports, and now Adam finally being able to rotate back. It's not really working out too well. The drone was set up in red hallway. Would have been a bit closer, maybe it would have worked out. As always, 2020. Beastly will get HNC, and of course it's Mark the Shark that'll bite and take a bit of a chunk out of Adam there.
Unfortunately, that Z-frame windows, you called it, the kind of diagonal mirror windows from each other, just didn't seem to work out for that round. I liked the attempt at innovation there in that sense, being able to have a soft wall that's a little more safe because you have to stand behind it. But
it is used a lot. I think some of the teams that using it have been mostly with EU, but also has been played in other regions. The odd mirror setups are always stuff that we used to see from KS, for example, or Shate even with their setups when, especially Shate used to focus a lot more on the mirror.
Yeah, that was a. I mean, those are definitely well-known mirror mains that have, like, I think, innovated quite a few different things that we've seen. Where we are going to see something that we're starting to see a lot more of thanks to Penta. Is this Montaigne here? So it looks like Mint, who was going with the half shield before, decides he wants to go bigger and better, but a little bit slower with the Montaigne this time, as he's going to be able to push a little more aggressively. But again, attacking the same site has worked so well for Blitz, but maybe he's just deciding he wants to be able to cover a whole door frame instead of just being able to kind of play aggressively on a door and flash people.
I think
we'll see
that's
how that works out, though.
They've been realizing, okay, we've been down. It's been taking us a lot of time and manpower to take control of CEO, that having the Monty actually works out much better for us because we can bait shots into the Montaigne.
He's also a lot stronger against C4 throws.
Yes.
Because if he's able to stay back, they're just going to hit the shield and not do a whole lot of damage to him, as opposed to go right over Blitz's head because he's going to be crouched.
Yeah, both might be shield operators, but the way they're played and their point of play is completely different. One being a lot more aggressive, the other one being fully supportive.
Now they do have a rotate hole, it looks like this time, to be able to help them get out of the archives, and that could be a big boon for that Montaigne, pushing in because, or no, sorry, really a problem for the Montaigne, but a boon for them in countering that Montaigne. But they do have a lot of investment upstairs this time, which I think is probably a good idea because they need to not get picked off early upstairs, because once the take starts to come down on that downstairs, which they push so aggressively, they need to be prepared for a retake, which they have not been able to do, and that's been a big weakness.
Cool,
and that's
Vertical.
a good start for that. There goes the Zofia. So that's a lot of utility off the board, as we were just talking about earlier, to help get into that site. And that Lion playing that long angle again, we saw how last time that kind of burned them a little bit in not being prepared, but he's a lot closer this time.
Beastly's castle just suddenly skyrockets in terms of how important it is for this round.
They need a Galaz almost at this point, or someone with long range. They might have to use Habana to open up some of those castles, because otherwise Montaigne's just going to be walking around looking at a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and that's definitely what you don't want to happen. And Beastly, of course, just got to be set up behind the mirror window. All 3 players are set up, and they can rotate through. We see very few murder holes that have been set up by the defense, especially inside of Janitor, because they want to protect their backs just in case. They just have to fall back and jump back down on the site. So far, over a minute burned down, as we're on a minute 25, and fire come in the way of Minta the Montagne. But so far, he's been alive. Well, not the case for Hot and Cold, and Beastly will make sure that he is on the colder side of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, this one-dimensional attack now turning into a 3-dimensional defense, as they're seeming to not have any angles because they're entirely pushing from the front yet again, which, much like we saw before, this defense is completely set up for, although this isn't even the bomb site, and this is just costing them all the time, only a minute left, and it's 3v5.
3v5 indeed, and look at that. Defenders have realized, yeah, you know what? You can take it. We've burned more than enough time.
Absolutely.
We got the Lion, we got the Zofia. That is more than enough.
And they're not bringing a buck. Even the Zofia would have been a little useful in opening up the floor, potentially, more so than, what are they going to use, X-Kairos to open up the floor? It's just not a lot of angles that they're going to get from this top floor control, other than clearing out the roamers, who've now lived through it, so.
Excellent use of X-Kairos,
yeah, right?
by the way.
that's only slightly less useful than using them to clear out ADSs.
I remember one of the games, I think it was Latin American Pro League in Season 6, where it was a push into open area, and they used all 3 Kairos to open up the hatches when they had a buck right next to them. But Jarvis will get the kill, but he'll get refragged by Neptunes, as smoke will get thrown in, and Vertical Knifesman takes him out of Mark the Shark. It's the final hit on Pojo, man. Nicely done. Mousesports with a 101 how to defend Teller Archives.
And that's a great show of adaptation, playing that site 2 times in a row, and this time coming back much, much stronger because, again, they saw exactly how the push was going. I mean, they did change up from a blitz to a Montaigne, which was a smart if the defenders were going to defend it the same way, which, of course, they didn't. They did all the things they needed to do. They made it both, like, up and down defenses.
And then you lose the Zofia.
Yeah, and then losing that early was a big hit because they needed that to be able to open up, for example, the castle barricades. They needed to be able to stun the roamers to be able to push them with that Montaigne, for example, get control, or even to be able to line them so they were in a trapped, stuck position. All of those things just fell apart for them, losing that initial Zofia and then just having a Montaigne on a push that it wasn't as effective because of those castle barricades. I feel like they probably would have been useful using the Habana to clear out some of those castle barricades at that point, because the sheer amount of time it took them to push that top 4 cost them pretty much whatever control they had, as they lost another player trying to enter there, and then no one was lost on defense defending that top floor. So that was exactly how you played, but there's still a match point. SK came on strong, getting a 4-2 lead, and then now Mouse coming back just a little bit here, as they clearly are adapting to what they need to do. But I mentioned SK are going to be doing the same as well. Now they're on Teller Archives defense, it looks like, unless that's 2 floors down. It is 2 floors down, so they're going to be defending down in the basement, which I don't think Mouse has been as good at attacking because they've been very dependent on the thermite plant.
I kind of like this as well. This reminds me of setups, for example, on Oregon. Sure, Bank is a bigger map, especially between all 3 sites here. But with Oregon even, we see teams defending even all the way up top.
And they're not bringing a Jackal this time as well, too. That's an important point. Like, there's no Jackal to be able to help counter that.
Yes. So this is a full setup from Mousesports that is set up to just push and take control of the office downstairs and CCTV. However, not having a Jackal, not really having, relying a lot on support operators in this round.
Well, they're doing kind of what they did last time: try and push the Valkyrie out of server stairs, take blue control, and get down there and just push for the plant.
And unfortunately,
and not kill anyone in the meantime other than Valkyrie.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work out too well, especially with the setup that is basically being played here by SK Gaming with
like
setting up
timing.
Ooh, they're going to be able to spot at least one player. Well, even hot and cold in the back will get spotted, so that's both Jarvis and him.
You saw the Yokai drone getting set up, though, to be able to try and stop this or even delay them, so that's going to help having that pre-set up.
There is one player in the sewers who's going to be joining in. That is Vandal, and he's going to be playing the Ying here. He might just even use one of his Candelas, and that he will. Valkyrie, unfortunately, Jarvis will go down. Can't get the C4 pick, as Mark the Shark will finish him off. It is a loss, but it's not the end of the world. But so far, burning time hasn't been too good for SK Gaming.
No, definitely not. And they seem to be losing a lot of momentum. I mean, they still got a minute 23 left, still plenty of time. And they did take one defender off the board, so they have the man advantage right now. But the defenders seem to be very comfortable in their positions. And with the Echo drone there as well, and Pojo's ability to kind of clutch it out, combined with the extra utility and slow down coming from Hot and Cold's Legion Mines, and then, of course, the angles from the mirror windows. I think it's going to be difficult. They're going to need to potentially take out some of those mirror windows if they can, but no one's bringing Thatchers or anything to be able to do that. They've got no Twitch drones. They've got no easy way to take out the batteries that Mint's undoubtedly put on those mirror windows.
There we go. That's hot and cold. He'll get the kill on Beastly, and they'll lose the Zofia. We've seen the same setup all the way in Janitor Closet, working out so well, especially for Latin America in 6th Invitational.
That's what happens when you don't clear the top floor, just because they're so focused on pushing blue.
Even with the amount of time that previously was left for Mousesports, they won't be able to clear them out. E1D will spot out 2 players as Pojo is trying to deny this bomb diffuser plant. Unfortunately, it will go down, but 3 kills in a row going the way of SK Gaming means that this round is getting very close to ending, as we are on 4-3. One more round separates SK Gaming for a win on map number 1 for going to Cafe, and that'll be hot and cold that cleans it up with the pistol. The Suzy Q92 will get the final kill. QSC, yeah, Suzy Q. That's what it is. SK Gaming will pick up their first map here with a 5-3 win over Mousesports. It started off very well for SK, but Mouse very quickly were able to adapt. Unfortunately, wasn't enough here, Devin. And Pojo.
I can't blame them for continuing to try and push what was working. It just didn't seem like they had a backup plan for how do we take the other side of this if we can't push this one way. Yeah. And you saw the one-dimensional attack again there from them pushing down blue without trying to really take control of the rest of the map, throwing all their utility right down there at I got to say, though, I'm surprised they were able to get the plant down with Pojo on that Echo drone. You heard it firing.
Yeah.
Just stalled it, like, I think, at least once, but wasn't able to stall it the second time, which really could
Even
have
though
easily
he
cost the planter's life.
He popped Yokai twice, and
Yeah.
even then, it wasn't enough to, maybe it was a bit too far away, or
Nonetheless,
the angle wasn't correct.
they
but
won the
still-
round, but-
yeah, the kills were just, it was a flurry of 3 kills, and you saw Pojo at the end, 9-3 on the board in a tight game that went 5-3 total. That is not too shabby.
Yeah, considering I think that map has always been F3, one of the F3's strongest maps by far. Like, Bank has been a good map for them, and I call them F3 just historically.
Yes.
That was their map. Now they're SK Gaming.
The last time they were on LAN, when we actually casted that match.
That's right. That was against G-Bots, if you're talking about that one.
Yes, and that was flip side just completely flipping over. And
Yeah, that was G-Bots showing that they also have a very good Bank. Unfortunately, G-Bots I don't think still around,
No.
but
The 2 other players, at least, are still within the Challenger League. They still are around, and
yeah, they're Reborn or something like that, right?
they even were playing in one of the French tournaments, I believe, a couple days ago, where it ended up in a win for Tank Ninjas boys somehow, even with a 3-0 total. There's so much siege that's happening all the time. We had 6 Lounge Series, we had
BR6
French
yesterday.
Championship, we had BR6, we have Challenger League as well that goes around in between Pro League days. We have, well, APAC that's going to be happening tomorrow, basically. So there's quite a bit of siege
to
all
watch.
the time
Yeah.
during
So,
the week.
Definitely a lot to learn from as well. Hopefully these teams pay attention to all the different ideas, the different regions, the different strat ideas.
Yeah.
And we're seeing, I think this is, I mean, despite the meta being a very aggressive one, we're seeing probably the most dynamic season we've ever seen in terms of operator picks.
Yeah.
Just completely shaking up who's playing what.
Except for the top 2,
Except for the top 2,
of course, Intero and Michael. Well, I just like calling everybody by their real name. You see, but basically with Intero and Kickstarter, they highlighted the same thing as we said before. The top 2 operators, attack or defense, are always the top. We see the Habana, we see our, of course, Lion, the biggest culprit, and Mira. And then the rest are basically, hey, how do we want to play this out? Very reactive. And this is the kind of meta that kind of shakes things up.
Yeah. Kafe has become definitely part of the meta this season, I would say. This is one that does kind of play well to a more dynamic style of play if you can do something more than just push Cigar. But defenders are taking advantage of that, as we saw from Rogue for the most part. They just completely played against that. But other teams, I think, are starting to pick up on that idea of opening more of those walls, and we're starting to see that a little more common among other teams in terms of using that to their advantage. But we're not seeing, again, the attackers really using that to their advantage instead. We have seen occasionally some Blackbeards play the A window, be able to open up some of the wall into the freezer, get some long side lines. Because they depend on that freezer and bathroom so much, I feel like a team's ability to take that apart, what we see Neptune's reinforcing right there, for example, they're not going to have any rotation at all into the bathroom. Instead, they're just going to completely cut it off and focus. See, now that's an angle that I'm talking about. That wall being open right there is one Blackbeard can use, for example.
They'll even reinforce here from Vandal. I don't know if they're going to reinforce the wall next to him, and they will.
See, that gives them
this is an old style. This
Yeah.
is a very old style playing Kafe. Definitely not
But
the
no,
reaction.
this is non-Mira style. So we got to point that out as well. Mira, such a high pick right now, not actually being picked here. This is something that's, I would almost call it Redeemer style, where you've got vertical on the Echo Drone instead, trying to deny things from the Echo Drone side, and that depends on being a little more secure and safe in a room like that. So sealing that up actually benefits him. They're going to have some extra intel without having to look both from his drone as well as from Neptune's Legion mines. They're going to have a lot of extra intel, and then of course Beastly's cameras as well, so they're going to really know what's going on around the site as much as possible without having to peek it. So this is a very, very turtle-heavy defense where they're going to be able to stick around as long as possible and then delay with both the Echo and the smokes. So, and then, of course, they can use the batteries from Mark to be able to deny anyone opening up those reinforced walls as well. So I don't know if Adam's going to even necessarily get a lot of utility out of this Jackal unless the Bandit's going to be rotating off-site, which we could see. I could see Mark playing for an off-site Bandit roam just to be able to play it, or even Beastly as well because he's got those extra cameras set up for him. But nonetheless, I think this is a good turtle. So there we go. That was the Mark the Shark playing down there in Train. So he definitely wants to play that offsite. Now, Adam already at half health. Fortunately for him, face checking here, trying to find him. It's not working, so the drones come in. Thanks to Hot Cold. Fortunately for him, that ping not leading to a kill right there.
Now, spray through the wall here is Adam trying to find a kill from it, but in the Train, he has not spotted the Bandit, though. Inside, Hot and Cold will drone in and will spot him, maybe force him out of position. But look at these spots. Mark the Shark bites and gets the first one. He goes in for the reload, can't cancel it fast enough as Mint runs in and refrags. They lose the Jackal for the Bandit, but it's with the setup for Mousesports, as you highlighted just a few seconds ago, Devin, it's not the end of the world because they're like Mousesports are not even playing a hyper-reactive playstyle. They're playing super defensive. The Jackal wouldn't have done too much except for maybe bringing out the smoke and the C7 for long-range engagements.
Yeah, a situation where he might have been able to at least identify like if a roamer's gone back to site, but that's about it in that situation. And now the drones are really going to have to do a lot of work to make sure they get some idea how to attack the site, find some weaknesses in it, because again, it's a very turtle-heavy one, and Beastly getting a kill right there is, I guess, gonna just continue to help that, because with 3 attackers left, and that's it. They at least have the Thatcher, but without the Hibana, that's far, far less useful.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to burn through the walls here, but Mint at least set something up. It'll take down Beastly. All 3 operators that are left for Mousesports are basically the perfect scenario for you on the defense.
Sight anchors, yeah, absolutely. They are the delayed from here.
Oh no, Jarvis! He even goes into one of the goo mines here and will have to take it out.
Fails to channel his old teammate BC. They are really concerned about, was that, it looks like he's going for goo mines even, trying to clear those out. I mean, obviously he could do it with the EMP grenades, but he's already expended all those. So the extra goo mines here from Neptunes are going to really pay off because he didn't see that one.
10 seconds on the clock and now a quick rush as Neptunes is ready. He's speaking through from both angles here as he is spotted by the E1D, but I believe this could be too little too late as Vertical pops in the last second right behind the bar and gets the final shot with the MP5. Knows exactly how the setup is happening here. Sure, you can rush in with the Thatcher. Sure, you can do whatever you want with the Lion, but when you don't have any heart breachers, you don't have anybody holding a line of sight to basically duo into attacking the Echo, well, the Echo can just pop up and take you out.
Yeah, and I got to give a lot of credit to both the roamers. Not only did they burn a lot of time, they got 1 kill each, and those were important kills, and that's exactly what you need to do. Not only did you burn up the time that you needed, which would have been fine if you would have fell back to site, but getting the kills on the important players like the Hibana really just left them with nothing left to play with, except for a Thatcher, which does nothing but maybe clear out some goo mines and then step in one right after. So it was very well played by Mousesports. So good start for them on the off foot here as they lost bank by 2 points. So now Hot Cold bringing out the pulse here. We have, I think, only seen 1 pulse perhaps so far from Jarvis earlier, but he's going to be on the castle this time.
We've seen pulse a couple times on our first map.
Yeah.
He's definitely been very strong in the hands of some players that really dedicate themselves to him, like, for example, the Canadian player that is impossible to not highlight in any role, but especially on the pulse.
Especially on pulse, yeah, by far. He's been very effective at being a good Lion counter, I think, as well, which I think is underrated in terms of how he plays against the Lion, but it can be map dependent. For sure. There definitely are maps that suit this better. And corners like this on stairwells are something we used to see a long time ago that I think really benefits because you can get a lot of outside intel from 2 different sides of the building. So I think playing those safe stairwells is such a classic way to play Pulse that really helps in terms of getting an idea where the attack's coming from so the defense can rotate to the proper side. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're knowing exactly how to set up their barbed wire for the attack because now they know where it's coming from thanks to the Pulse working that stairwell. But they do have a Ying here, something we've seen a little bit today, to be able to try and clear out something when they go for that push. But they're going to depend on IQ and Thatcher doing what we saw Rogue do so well, which is kind of become the staple of how to attack this top floor in terms of if you want to clear out utility, especially if there's, for example, Valkyries being played. It will deny Pulse for a minute, but he's not going to be doing a lot on the top floor anyways.
This could be, this could end very quickly for Mousesports here on the attack because this setup screams to me, we want to attack and force you to fight us in 1v1 because we take our time to set up by having the IQ, the Sledge, and of course the Thatcher as you highlighted. But also once we get running in, we still have the IQ of the 552 with a high, super high DPS. We have the Ying that can run in as well. And we have Vertical as well with the 308 vector.
And on the attacking time, the only person that can even open those castle barricades is Sledge. So if Sledge goes down, they literally have no way outside of hitting them or throwing a frag grenade to take that out. So this is what you see him doing right now, already having to announce his presence. I mean, using them on outside walls is a little less effective, but it is something that is still going to delay them and let them, let you know they're coming in and set up your angles for that. Obviously, they're going to drone to follow that up, but Hot Cold's going to give them a ton of intel to play with to tell them exactly when they're going to push in.
And Mark will exchange the 5.52 to the AUG just to correct previous statement. As well, you highlighted,
Mando.
beastly, important to keep alive because there is still a second
Oh, they're
castle
just gonna
barricade.
drop right in.
Yep, this is basically what it is. Okay, everybody, we forced everybody to rotate down by going outside and using the door. Well, now we can just jump in from the skylight. We don't even have to use our yings and burn any EMPs to come down. That is best case scenario control for Mousesports.
Yeah, they just got to turn it into something else. At least Pojo Man getting down here is going to help because now no one can go get him thanks to the Lions, so it was good timing on that. Unfortunately, they didn't turn it into any kills, even though Adam got spotted. That, on the other hand, turned into a kill, at least traded back by Mark onto mid.
The reading room plate will stay floating in the air. It still will not be enough to stop Beastly here as he gets both kills. Han Cold alive, and same for Adam as HNC will get one. Adam will get the second. The Echo. Still, Echo's teammates can definitely check and use the Yokai to his advantage, and that's one player down, and the second one down as well. Well done here by SK Gaming as both Adam and Han Cold pick up the pace, basically, for SK in the second round. And have to highlight, the pulse play has been fantastic in this round.
Yeah, and that really helped save them as well because they were actually at quite a man deficit when push came to shove there, able to even get the plant down. They just weren't able to actually probably defend it, and Pulse always plays a big part in that because when you know exactly where the attackers rotate to, especially if you can see for them, it puts you in a position where you can retake a lot more effectively because if you retake into a site blindly, because you don't have drones, right? You can't reverse drone back into the site, but if you have a Pulse that sees exactly where that scramble goes, you can retake so much more effectively because let's say you need to jump out. You can jump out and know which side to aim at, and that already makes a huge difference because otherwise it's a 50-50 gamble.
And not only that, but it's another thing to highlight, not just in terms of like general play but in Pro League, but also for anybody that wants to use this for their own ranked plays. Open up as many of these walls leading into the engine room as possible, into A. And that is basically what was exploited by the Pulse, because he had line of sight over the planter and over the player that was supposed to defend the planter from attack.
Yeah, situation where it definitely worked out in SK's favor there, but Mouse have been playing pretty strong on this regardless, and they did have a good man advantage going into that, and that's something I think that shows that they are still playing very, very strong on this map after winning the first round. And we're going to see Vertical on that Vigil, something I hyped up a little bit at the beginning, so I'm excited to see whether or not it's as effective as I've seen it previously, because they do have the Jackal, which is something, as we said earlier, is a good counter to Vertical, but it does depend on finding his footprint specifically, and if he's not roaming a lot in terms of rotating around too much, and more just kind of hiding and waiting for the lines to be burned up or being able to get a good angle on someone, along with the Pulse able to kind of give him some intel if they're playing together on roam even, can be very effective because he can kind of stay away from where they're pushing at. Obviously, Pulse can get droned out, but it's much harder to drone out Vertical on that Vigil.
Yeah, well, Castle, we've been seeing him being played a lot more often. Of course, comboing with the Mute and the Vigil here, they play very well to try and shut down a Lion.
It also shuts down a lot of drones because you can't jump a drone through a castle barricade, so it makes a situation where you can't get it underneath. But Pojo, at least making good use of that Lion's gun, taking down the Vertical that I was so excited to see. Unfortunately, not going to be this round.
Vertical getting too aggressive here on the eastern wall, and I'll get taken down fairly easily by the attackers.
Interesting to see that castle barricade again on that reading room door onto the outside. They again have a sledge. They're going to be able to open that up very easily, but situation, like I said before, it's going to announce their presence, and that's still going to be helpful and slowing down any kind of quick push, and it gives you the ability to play a little more freely in that reading room and pillars.
You see with the Lion E1D popping up, forces Neptune's downstairs. They can't really do too much about him as a Jackal Adam trying to hunt him down. Mint will spot him, but you know what? Not in the end of the world, because they can't really do anything against him. You know, Lion might be extremely strong to play against, especially at this level, but when you really don't have a beat or any way to actually get a shot on your opponents, well, it doesn't really matter how good he might be.
I like how they're trying to use this top floor control to get a little more control of the pillars down there, because like I said, that castle barricade was denying their ability to directly attack it, but they're just not giving up any angles, and the defenders are playing smart defense down in the middle, being able to play a little more flexibly in this area. See how they're even being able to play in some of that dining room pillars area where Castle's sitting right here, because they have to drone him manually. I'm not even sure if Hot and Cold saw him, but it did look like he saw maybe a little bit of his elbow there.
Not sure if Pojo has more than a single E1D left here before he burns all of them out. He might be keeping the last one for a final push, and might be time for it. 35 seconds on the clock as we see Mint coming in, and he'll land the kill. And that's Vandal out of play. Trying to spray into reading room, but Mark the Shark will get the kill. As they go for the diffuser plan, it's Pojo. Pops the E1D. Grenade's going to get thrown in by Jarvis. Hopefully it doesn't hit our nearest teammate, and it does not. Neptunes, though, will come in, get the kill. Now they have to watch both angles as Adam will jump down and will help with the angle watch, but Neptunes is ready. And he'll get one more, though they have pure line of sight into the diffuser here. What Adam needs to do is to not get as aggressive as we saw on map 1 on Bank and end up losing his life. They might try for a quick jump out. There are 3 players. Pojo will get 1, 2v2. We see the run out for the Mute. Neptunes will exchange and turn it into a 1v1. It's Adam alive, and Adam will clutch the round. Mark the Shark will go down, and SK will grab the round in the attack.
Nicely played. It was a situation where they were very set up for a retake strategy. They had it all set up so they could play in pillars, they could play in reading, and deny as much of that movement as possible with those castle barricades, play a little bit turtle, and just get ready for that retake. And they were starting to effectively at first. But the problem is they were denied so much movement when it came down to the plant being made. They weren't able to actually do anything to stop the plant or to even retake that room because they let everyone get outside at that point, and we saw exactly what happened. They were forced to just throw themselves out of windows. I like the distraction on the window that almost threw him off for a second, so he could have got that jump out. But nonetheless, that's a long fall, and that provides a lot of opportunity to be shot on the way down. Not to mention the damage you're going to take when you hit the ground if it wasn't enough to already kill you from the shots on the way down. Gravity will do a lot of the rest of the work for you. So once you get outside there, it's just... And they were too far away for Pulse. Remember I was saying what Pulse can do in terms of getting an idea where they're at. They were just far, far away from that at that point. They almost needed to play like a Pulse C4 from Bakery even at that point. But that would have been clearly obvious once they opened up one of those windows. They would have heard that and been able to move. So just a good take by SK, putting them at the point advantage. This is similar to what we saw on the previous map, which definitely went in SK's favor, but we saw a good fight from Mouse. We'll see if they can make this attack work again. This is, again, a similar problem with this attacker lineup like I was talking about. This time, at least, they're not fighting against castle barricades, so they're not going to be at such a disadvantage. But they really just don't have a lot of breach utility in terms of they don't have any hard breachers, and they only have one real soft breacher because they didn't even bring something like Zofia or Ashe to be able to open up things at longer range. So they're depending on Beastly to be able to literally run up to things, which is going to require a lot of good positioning. So hopefully Mark's going to get some utility for Neptunes here to actually clear out enough to make that worthwhile because, well, at least they didn't bring Legion this time.
Oh boy, Hunt Hold will spot all the players here and even taps the window. He wants to maybe bait push from his opponents, and that
Mark.
we go.
Mark's counter. That's what worked there is Mark saw his pulse.
Actually, that is a very good point. He saw it with the electronics detector and then knew, all right, you want to come out, Pulse? That is a very good point to
I feel like the only time we see that is with Para, for example, trying to counter Pulse on Clubhouse Basement. We see it there often, but outside of that, just that rivalry rarely shows up. And I think that was an excellent case because Pulse had a good advantage there. He was playing it very smart, but just well played by Mark the Shark.
It shows you how close this game is between both teams here that have a lot to show. Again, I highlighted right at the start for a couple seconds a rivalry between SK Gaming and Mousesports from, well, over 15 years ago in many esports dating back to CS 1.6, and it's turning out to be the same thing here in a Rainbow Six Siege, even on their debut match in Pro League.
And keep in mind, this is a team, Mousesports, that climbed their way up from Challenger League, as well as having former Xbox pros on here. So this is guys that have really worked their way into this spot. Not to mention beating out Rogue previously in the qualifiers. That was such a big deal. Or not just the qualifiers, I mean, so the previous
Sixth invitation.
Yeah, the season going up to it, and then actually being in that land for season 3 was a big step for these guys, I think.
Well, Adam is just sitting up here behind the open mirror wall as Pojo will get the kill on Verkle, turns into a 4v4. Ying Vandal here will rush in, will throw in his last Candela. Goes in for the plant right in the middle. Do they have somebody already upstairs in Skylight? I'm not sure. C4 is going to get thrown in, but it misses right next to them. He's trying to spray everywhere. Jarvis and Pojo.
Spot. That's not where they're planting.
Yeah, fortunately for the attackers here, they're going to go, and there's nobody set up just yet. It's taking them so long, but Beastly will get one, and we'll get the second as well. From the window, nobody watching, of Pojo will refrag. Mark the Shark still above, as they need to use here Jarvis to help them out. They go in for the 1v1. Somehow doesn't nail the shot, and Neptunes, though, sprays in and gets the last two as well. Or you joking here, Neptune.
Neptune's just saved the day. They had no one to cover that plant.
He was on one window, gets 2 kills, jumps over to the other one, and gets the last 2. And this is pretty much all play on Neptune's, and of course, on our resident IQ
Well
to get
played.
that first kill on the pulse.
I like that they planted in an uncommon spot because you saw them pre-firing for what they thought was them planting on the other side.
No, it's
of
just
that.
going to be in the middle.
They were just like, oh, we're just going to spray this wall and hope we kill them. They just never thought that we're going to be playing, oh, they're just going to be planting on the other side of the bar. And that really worked out very well there. I mean, obviously, they left themselves a little bit vulnerable in terms of peeking it from above. Seeing our first Capitao and our first Dokkaebi.
Even glass being picked
Yeah,
up.
the SK is just going, rolling the dice here. I mean, obviously not picking randomly, I don't mean that, but they just mean they're really changing things up here.
This might be
Mouse.
one of those pocket chests that you were talking about before, Devin.
And this is going to be a very aggressive push because when you combine Capitao with the ability to put in smoke regardless of Jaegers, although in this case there is no Jaeger ADSs, but combined with the Candelas, the push from Lion, the push from the phone calls, and then a nice long angle there, or even pushing through smokes along with the Candelas with the old Glass in combo.
Even the glass that just stands
Yeah.
up in the skylight. You go in for the same plant that we saw Mousesports executing in the previous round.
Completely cut off even freezer pushes from that skylight like that. Because you could smoke them,
Yeah.
and if they try and run through it, easy glass pops.
You can smoke with the Capitao, you can smoke with the glass, you can smoke with the Dokkaebi, you can smoke with the wing. Literally everything here complements Mince's glass. So he is definitely going to be the highlight. Keeping him alive is going to be a super important task here for SK Gaming.
You would hope this being a restaurant, they wouldn't be able to smoke here, but this is going to definitely be, as you said, a smoke-heavy
This is
round.
in Russia. I believe there are
That's true,
different
that might
rules
be
set
allowed.
between Russia and the rest of the EU. I'm not
Well,
sure.
that is unfortunate for Mousesports, but they do have a lot of deny utility. We were talking about before. This is their deny lineup that they used previously. Last time they had Beasley on the roam along with Mark the Shark, and that really helped them out because they got the trades they needed. Looks like a situation where SK is not going to fall into that same trap. They're going to push very aggressively from the skylight and from the cigar lounge, so they're not actually going to be fighting down as much, but they are going to be set up a little bit for retake in that they will have a Beasley with the C4. They might also have Mark the Shark on the C4 as well, and that'll be a situation where he'll be able to help with that retake on the roam. So I like that idea that perhaps they have the denial, and I mean, I really think vertical is going to be really important on that Echo there. Top of this, here goes the plant.
This is the push that we were talking about. Huncole will even skip everything and run into the fridgy spots. One gets the kill. Capitao Bolt will drop one, but it's 2 kills very quickly for Mousesports. Oh, the glass is going to get taken out. Nicely done. Crossbow Bolt still firing all the way in. As they'll take down the Dokkaebi, leaving Jarvis all on his own in the Capitao, but the diffuser planted. There's 3 players left. He has 1 bolt to play with. The smoke's going to get dropped, and Neptune's definitely has an angle here. Smoke plays so well into the hands of Jarvis, but he knows exactly. This is so well premeditated by SK. Definitely practiced in the past. The Bandit will tap and tap and tap, and he sprays right into him, and Jarvis lands the last 2 kills. My God, here, SK Gaming. This is that they might not have a coach. Maybe we don't even know that they do have one, but this is definitely pre-planned. Every single bit of this angle is just
That was just a much
rehearsed.
harder angle than what we saw previously, but that's a much more difficult push. Pushing all the way over to that side for the plant is so uncommon. You see, for example, where we were talking about they plant before, a lot more by the cigar door, or even planting by
in the
bar.
middle, basically.
Yeah,
in the bar.
but in that case, they obviously planted that for that angle for the coverage, and that's the only reason Jarvis was able to do anything. And the smoke actually worked out in his favor because the smoke trying to deny, the smoke is sitting and thinking, okay, we'll deny his line of sight, and we'll also deny his ability to drop down. But in doing so, they also denied their own line of sight against Jarvis. And he completely exploited that by just saying, like, I just need to fire through there. All I need to do is just blast this pair through that window and kill whoever's stopping that. And at that range he was playing at, with the angle they couldn't seem to fight, there was nothing they could do about it. So really well played to Jarvis, but a good setup, as you said, by the rest of SK, getting that plant almost completely fell apart.
The operator pick told you the entire story. We're rocking smokes everywhere. We have a glass. We want to rely on him.
Quick
We
drop
want to
play.
play the Lion to push in with the Ying. Maybe we would have had the 6-12. I can only imagine what Hungary, for example, would have done. Basically the best Ying in the world.
Yeah, he would have
In this
gone for
situation.
the t-shirt cannon.
However,
5 seconds to insert.
the Capitao placement and the angle that was held at the end was so well thought out by SK that even with 3 players, it was not enough. The smokes that were popped by the smoke, obviously, on the defense, kind of played to the disadvantage of both sides, where they couldn't even spot the Capitao setting up.
Yeah, it was It was something that's unfortunate because, I mean, I like the idea of it, but they almost needed to throw the smoke on the roof at that point where he was going to be fighting that angle so he couldn't sit through it. But that would be very close if you could even pull that off in terms of positioning. But nonetheless, that is putting SK Gaming a point up here on a map that looked like it was strong for Mouse, starting off the first round win for them. Here's Mark the Shark, going to be able to spot out Hot Colt, potentially, who's playing that stairwell now. So we'll see if he's able to get some intel on him. As we saw previously, Mark was able to get a good counter to him. I imagine he's going to be a little more prepared for it this time, as Mark's a little preoccupied with gadgets.
Yeah, a lot of people will only use their pistol and electronics detector once they get onto the rooftop. Whereas we've seen with Mark, he'll use it even climbing up because it gives him kind of a line of sight just in case he has to deal with, you know, there maybe an echo or a
Legion
pulse.
mines on the stairwell, for example, as well. So, I mean, in this case, they're not playing Legion, but they have been playing Legion occasionally. So
every little bit helps.
Unfortunately, Vandal's taking a little bit of damage already, so that's going to slow things down a little bit. He's going to have to play a little more careful. The Ying, of course, primarily going to be used for actually going for the plant, not so much. Although we did see England trying to use it sometimes for roam clears, which it can be used for as well. He's a little concerned about the cameras. There could also be Valkyrie cameras if they don't know there's not Valkyrie.
Cool, I love these angles, the murder holes that have been previously opened here by the defense. Well, they play both sides, as we always say. And Vertical will get the kill on Pocho. That is the smoke taken out. That is a huge frag.
They still have the Echo, though, and that's an important part of this here. They still have the Echo. They still have some potential C4s as well from the Pulse, possibly the Mira. So they can still delay a lot and go for a retake. It's really going to depend on how well they can control these guys with those lines. They don't want to burn up too many of them too early because you want to have those to be able to control for them to try and position themselves for the retake, whether it goes pre-plant or post-plant.
They were able to spawn out Adam. He's playing the Echo, of course, in the dining room. Might force him back into train. As Vertical will come down to the bar stairs. He realizes there's Jarvis and Hot and Cold, and both of them will get spotted running right on out. The second one is spotted as well.
That pinches him down pretty badly here. He has no choice but to try and fight this. Once he can get across, he cannot.
Vertical, what a round here so far for Vertical. All 3 kills to his side, but Mint will refrag and at least get Mark the Shark out of here. But Adam will fall. It is Mint alive, but not for long. He's beastly. To land the headshot into reading room and take him out. Mousesports tying it up, and this is starting to get a bit too close for comfort here for SK Gaming.
Looked like it just seemed like they were able to fight a lot of the angles they set up for themselves to their own advantage, fighting from above, getting that angle down into the reading room, fighting the other angles. They tried to play it like you can upstairs, like we were talking about earlier, playing towards guarding piano from that center area, and they tried to do a similar idea from the middle, which I like. You know, it's an innovative idea in terms of trying to do that when you don't usually see a setup like that. But we see how it really worked against them there, because on the top floor, it's a situation where they don't have a ton of angles on you, and they're not usually going to fight them from below a lot of times, whereas that they can fight it from above and fight it from the side. It's a situation where they actually got kind of pinched out by their own setup in terms of having, obviously the roof is solid. It's a situation where other than the skylight, there's no way to try and play against the defense upstairs when you open that many walls. And I think it's just too three-dimensional.
And I think that's the problem. SK let go of the bar way too early.
Yeah.
And sure, yeah, it might have been a minute that was burned before
I think they wanted to
fell
stay
down.
alive to be able to rotate back, though.
Yeah, that's one thing, but also, if you only stayed there for a minute and nobody pushed you just yet, and you didn't get a single kill off of it, leave the couple players up there.
Just leave one, I would say.
At least leave one to guard something, and then have, you know, support from the Echo or from any other technical support for you here on the
Yeah, because you can even have the Echo have his drone up there to be able to try and help you. If it's a good Echo player, knows how to reposition his drone well, he can play as a roving, aggressive drone to help out the lone roamer who's left and let him know when to be able to rotate back, because he can even cover his rotation. So that would be a good way to play it, but it is, again, these last-minute decisions that come down.
Even there, you saw the shotgun angles that was opened up into reading room. It opened even to the other side of the room, and it compromised the position of the smoke.
Again, like they weren't able to play multiple angles like I was talking about before. When you open up too many angles, you can't watch them all. But again, it was a good idea. I think it just needs a little refinement in terms of how you play it, but it does have disadvantages versus trying to do that upstairs. And there is no IQ to try and call out where to do that, but they're going to try and clear out a little bit of utility with this Thatcher here. Adam could be back on that Jackal again, which we've seen him get some footprints on occasionally, although I think Lion has actually been a little more effective, I would say, than the Jackal, but there is one ping right now. So Adam's definitely got someone trying to pitch him out here. That's not working, sadly. I imagine that might be Mark, who likes to play in that position. We've seen him do it previously with Bandit, but he does find Beastly, who takes a lot of damage.
He hears the scream as well from the Valkyrie, as Mark will drop to the floor and try to help out his teammate on a low HP Valk. Just being tagged.
They're doing a good job delaying still, but they are getting pitched out quickly. There we go.
Problematic here though. One will get taken out, and as Mark goes for the reload, cannot cancel in time, and it's Adam that'll be able to get the refrag. They lose out Hot and Cold and Habana, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. There's no Mira being played on the defense for Mousesports, so it's still okay. You don't need to rely on the Habana.
Now, the problem I have with the way Mark's playing is he's usually getting 1 kill almost every time from playing in that position in train, but he's never able to turn it into escape or a second kill. And I think he needs a little more backup if he's able to try and escape that, because they're always pushing him with multiple people. And I think it's working a little bit for the attackers, but I do like that he's always able to compromise their positioning to be able to get at least 1 kill out of it. So, unfortunately, this is the same situation we saw before, where they lose 2 on the defense. They lose Beastly and Mark again. Different operators, but the same guys. Unfortunately for them, they didn't take down 2 in the process, and I think that's a big problem for that. That's right. Yeah, we were just being informed. I forgot from Esley is actually the coach, and I feel stupid for forgetting that, because he actually lives in my hometown of Sacramento. So he actually is a local to me. So of all people to forget that, that is embarrassing. But thank you, Intero, for reminding us of that.
Let's thank Intero here, who ran in to help save the day. Of course, Esley being the coach on SK.
He's a former pro player going back pretty far as well. I think, if I remember correctly, recorded and reported going back to year 1. So a lot of experience there. Vertical, though, trading this back here. Now we finally have 2 kills to make it 3-3. And then another one from Vertical is trading this back as Jarvis, last man left.
What is happening here to SK Gaming? Mousesports might be able to go up here with a 4-3, as Jarvis will land right into a goo mine, going to the 1v1 engage, and he can't even take down Neptunes at the end. He'll get dropped by Vertical with a close-up angle by the bar, and a big play at the Echo, holding up a close angle. Mousesports up 4-3, and they're 1 round away from taking this to map 3 on Chalet.
Neptune's doing a fantastic job with those Legion mines there. Really was able to call it exactly where he was going to be pushing up from and be able to push it back himself. That's the beauty of playing those Legion's mines, is being able to rotate backwards when you know they're pushing aggressively on you, because you have the intel to do it. And you know they can't push. They've either got to push super aggressively when they do it, or they've got to pull back and pull the mine out. And when they're in a desperate situation like that, where they're running out of time, you know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to keep pushing you, because they don't have time left to stand there and pull out the mine, and they become very predictable at that point. We are going to see Mark actually pulling out the glass this time. They are definitely going to try something a little bit different here and getting a longer range. Something we saw, for example, from SK Gaming when we're talking about the smoke-heavy strat. This is a situation where they're not going for smoke-heavy. They're not bringing that Ying, for example. They're going to bring nades on the IQ. So it's I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do with that glass unless they can get some good angles from him. We could see him, interestingly, if he wants to push on the A side, which we have yet to see really anyone do too much to be able to put some pressure from there. Something we see a Blackbeard do occasionally, because he can sit more comfortably, you know, bar the run out or jumping out from White Stairs window. But it is a position where Glass can theoretically play and tear up a lot of freezer wall that's not reinforced and get a lot of long sightlines, as well as you were discussing before, playing from up above in the skylight. But the skylight offers limited angles, and you want more long sightlines, I think.
Especially with this setup when you have a mirror that's going to be used on SK, and with the way that they're opening everything up, this makes Glass a little bit redundant unless somehow you can rush in and get a plant down. Now,
ooh, there we go. There's some utility, but he misses too many shots. And Hot Cold, oh, there we go. Just going to juice right back up. Yep. Unfortunate for Mark.
Definitely trying to warm up here as
Mark just got sharped. Unfortunate. But nonetheless, Hot and Cold did have to burn up his stim pistols. Only has 1 left now. I mean, so there's some utility for that.
I think, though, have been seeing a lot of
You know Glass is going to be watching that hole. No, not a lot of docs. I mean,
not just that, but also been using their stim pistols. I don't know. It takes it's a lot more complicated than playing Finka, for example, where you just, you know, click middle mouse button, and here we go, everybody gets a boost. Here you have to get a line of sight, an angle to be able to heal your teammates. And yourself, you have to be very smart about it, because it takes a while. You have to reload, etc. Doc, as much as he can offer theoretically, doesn't always get the chance to do so.
Yeah. And now, keep in mind, Mouse is on actual match point here, so if they can make this work, they still have 1:50 left. They haven't lost anyone. They're clearing out a lot of utility. They've got the Glass, who did some good damage to Hot and Cold, you know, that obviously got healed, but did the damage nonetheless. So it's a situation where he got forced off his position and wasn't able to get the peaks he was hoping for with that ACOG. this is, as I said, match point, so we could potentially see Chalet here the way things are going so far, working out okay for Mouse. However,
Bomb located by
they're not
attackers.
pushing people out of Piano just yet, and the ability for Jarvis to sit in there safely is going to bite them. As you can see, the gunfire on the window is really going to slow them down from pushing in here. They need support from the glass as well, but they just can't find any angles. And if he peeks his head down, it's going to come off really quick,
Whoa!
thanks to Mint.
Recovered their diffuser.
Mint rushing in with the Ella. He gets tagged a bit, but that is not the end of the world. Jarvis will miss with the C4,
Attackers have dropped the bomb
but
diffuser.
so far,
Attackers
so good for
recovered their
SK Gaming. They can't even heal Mint if need be, but Mark the Shark plays it smart and it'll pop in with the smoke, but the Gmot mine has already been set up, and they can peek in and they will be able to take down Jarvis's Neptune. Runs in with the Bearing 9, gets one for himself, but Mark realizes there's a hard wall in front of him, and you know what? OTS 03 might be really strong, but it's not enough. And this is the Habana pick that we're waiting to see because it counters Mirror Window so well.
Yeah, now Glaz is going to have a line of sight into that room. That's going to make it so Mint is actually forced out of the room, which is exactly what they need to take full Piano control. They've got to watch for him peeking around that corner. He does have a long gun that could stick out around there if he peeks a little too far, but Mark's forced to kind of help his team with the smoke and look off sight.
Goal! Nicely done! Han Cold from the freezer will get one. They'll even spot him in the back, but that's not the end of the world because Adam will get the second one on Neptunes. Now rushing in at Han Cold with one more on the board. Last alive is Vandal, and he will get taken down. SK Gaming tied up 4-4, and they will go into overtime.
This is the first overtime we're seeing for the day here. Definitely a situation where it could go either way, I feel like, because Mouse have been able to come back strong after, you know, a strong start and then losing quite a few rounds in a row. And SK seem to have lost a little bit of their strength. Mouse just playing a little bit smarter in terms of how they would do that. But I mean, I liked the idea, but the Glass just didn't have enough to do a lot of the time, and they weren't able to get a lot of that control. And then unfortunately, trying to peek that with the IQ just didn't work.
Yeah, and also the headshot through the smoke as they're rushing into bar. They know that the attackers don't really have much time, and Hot and Cold just set up in the freezer, knows they have to run in, so I'll just spray in, and I'll reload right after it, no problem. If they want to push me, well, I already have the Ella behind to help out if need be.
Yeah, and we're going to see Mouse try and retry their defense here on the top floor, and they're going to be bringing, looks like the same setup they had before. That's been somewhat successful.
We'll have the Jaeger this time.
Yeah, that'll be good for making sure that they don't get naded as easily. In this case, they do have the nades at least on Jarvis to be able to try and do that, as well as be able to potentially stop some smokes from coming in if they are indeed going to come in. Something Adam can also help with.
10 seconds to insertion.
But they're setting up a lot of those holes. They're almost disguised a little bit by that barbed wire. Could be part of the mentality as well. Not only is it going to slow them down right there, so it makes it able to shoot them from below a lot more effectively, or even C4 them, because they're going to slow down in that spot. They're also going to be a little more predictable in hitting that barbed wire, going to give away that they actually are going to be moving into that position. So I like the ability to retake from below, something they've been, a lot of these teams have been focused on, because you have half a floor where you have the ability to play from pillars and be able to throw C4 up over the railing as well as throw it from below. This is a good site for retake, and we've seen previously where teams kind of felt like that was the meta, is to go for the retake, but it's not always worked because the team really needs to be able to stay alive to do that. And if there's a good roam clear, now that Lion's on the board, I feel like the retake strategy's been a little harder to execute because you can't keep people alive long downstairs. And we've seen Beastly and Mark struggling with that. They're able to get the kills, at least one kill every time in terms of doing that, but 2 kills has been a little more of a struggle to maintain. Nonetheless, they do still burn up time.
Adam coming around with the Jackal. I just try to find a Racine Mark the Shark, as I highlighted before. Devin been playing this museum for forever. This time he will have the Valkyrie to help him out, and fortunately for Adam, he comes in, gets the kill, and basically will go down. So both pitches here, but Neptunes, they're not ready for the Jaeger here. As they'll spot him finally as he sits back into the broom closet. And Jarvis trying to peek in for him. Neptunes with a tiny hole to play around with the 416 as he spawns Hot and Cold's drone.
He saw him too.
Now he is forced out of it. He'll have to run all the way up stairs. Mint will continue in with the droning on the Thatcher. And we'll spot out the side of the Jaeger here maybe. Can spray through the wall if need be.
Ooh, the bait. They know he's there. They're just trying to pressure him, but he's just going to be forced to rotate up. No, he wants to play this aggressively.
Okay. This is what we were talking about. Have the Echo drone supporting your players.
That's up to vertical. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's got it on the roof defending the actual bomb spot. So that is not going to be help here. But nonetheless, he does rotate back successfully, and they did burn up some time and got the kill onto Adam, so there's not going to be any tracking. That kill is going to help.
Vertical will get the kill vertically through the floorboard here, and that'll be Jarvis falling down. It takes it into a 3v3. The Pojo Man, Mint, and Hot and Cold left, the Lion, the Thatcher, and the Habana.
So they have some ability to clear and be able to
Bomb
actually
located
open
by
stuff with
attacker.
Habana as well as the Lion drone, but the Lion's going to need to plant as well, so he's going to have to time his Lion properly. There's one more being used. Now they're actually going to get Neptune's position here, and that's going to cost him his life.
Nicely done by Mint. That's one for him, but Vertical is still alive. He's got the Echo drone to play around with here, the Yokai.
They're trying to pressure him out here. If they can kill him here, then it's it. Easy plan.
It's time to go here. 12 seconds on the clock. You'll see the final E1D being played out. Goes in with a 1v1 fight, and it's Mint to get the kill here in combination with the Lion. Vandal still alive on the smoke, and Hot and Cold finds the angle. Habana will get the kill. And Vandal will go down, and that brings it almost to the end here. SK Gaming up 4-3. Up in total here in 5-4. So they still need one more round to bring this one home 2-0. But it's so far, it's very, very close.
And that was a good example how you use a Lion there as well. Knowing that the Echo was there and the way they pressured him from two different sides forced him to move, and that exposed his position and made it an easy shot from the other side. So either one of those was going to get the kill. I mean, obviously dropping Skylight is a risky way to do it because you open yourself up to being shot from him. But the thing is, they had the extra man. All they needed to do was trade him. Even if they died dropping that Skylight and killed the Echo, that put the smoke in a 2v1 position. That was just going to be an easy plant take potentially, even with him able to just try and deny with smokes, because he was going to give away his position just trying to throw those smokes to stop a plant. So, and they have plenty of room to be able to plant in different positions. They could have even rotated all the way back around if they had enough time, but it would have been risky to do so. Nonetheless, good use of Lion there at the end and making that work. Obviously keeping Lion alive that long as well. So, unfortunate to the Echo, who played his heart out over there. I think some of it was just due to losing the Jaeger as well, who was kind of his extra cover.
10 seconds to go.
But this is SK Gaming's advantage here. They're going to be playing down on Mining Dining, aka
5
Train.
seconds left before insertion.
We've seen before they tried to open up a lot in that reading room, and it kind of backfired on them. Curious if they're going to go for a similar setup in terms of giving themselves accessibility, but they're going to go for a spawn peek instead and say, you know what, let's close this out here and take out maybe even potentially their Lion. This is risky, but they are spawning some of them over there. Unfortunately for him, the spawn spots that were chosen are not those, and he's not going to get any picks just yet.
Unless.
He's
No,
they know.
He's on the other side. They spot out a potential spawn peek. Then Mark the Shark will make sure. Oh, he's bed stops. Oh my God, that's so close, so close. It's always that split second reaction. Some players are so good at just peeking it.
At least he's burning the IQ's time, and the IQ is not going to be able to use utility right now or grenades from this position. Unfortunately, this is not like a Glaz or something where he's effective at doing this. He's just going to be hoping to get one of those shots, trying to bait it out as well, trying to seem like distracted a little bit, but they're not going to fall for it smartly. I mean, they went for the spawn peek and then stopped, and that's what you do as a restrained professional player. You don't over peek it, and you see Neptune's moving his drone around as well, trying to keep it. Looks like maybe for reading room, potentially that was it.
I mean, this is the thing as well, because they burned so much time from the IQ, Adam was able to position his drone in what you would usually call a very risky position.
Yeah.
And now he can pull it back. They couldn't have gotten a kill on it with the Thatcher and even a close-up angle as it tries to run away.
Absolutely, but we see Beastly actually playing this window I was talking about that you'd see Blackbeard sometimes play. Unfortunately, that's not the site upstairs, but this is going to give him some good cross control along with fighting. You see a mark on the white stairs there, just being able to shoot, open the window to try and make sure that's going to be safe. And Adam actually getting a kill on the Beastly, but traded back by Vertical into Mint. So that is the mirror and the sledge down. Neither of those critical, but that's a C4 off the board as well as 2 grenades, so a lot of killing throw power is off the board.
Yeah, and Hot and Cold even holding with a Legion from downstairs here. They'll be able to spot him here as Vertical is on the hunt. Or hasn't been able to find anybody as he pops his second E1D. Only one left with 55 seconds on the clock. They still get information through their drones, as we always were talking about. Not only using your E1D, but also having drone to push with it. Pojo very close up here with the shotgun. Unfortunately, can't get the kill. Jarvis going in for the 1v1. Vertical Doe will get the kill, and Pojo just sprays all of his rounds in and is only left with 1 shell on his 870 He is forced to reload the SMT.
Ooh, Adam's very low health too. This is not working out well for SK. We could see a 5-5 scoreline here.
This is definitely possible. Three
Time
players
though.
alive, but look at the angle. Pojo with one hot and cold
Attackers
will
have recovered
refrag
the diffuser.
as well, and turns into a 3v2. Now the advantage for SK Gaming. The rush might just come in here for Battle as we see the Candela being popped. The Pojo's ready. He'll get one more, leaving only Neptune's alive with under 5 seconds on the clock. Has to come in. He takes down one player, finds the angle in the second. No, right next to Adam, who somehow is still alive on the Echo. But no, SK Gaming. They take our second matchup here. And that is a total 6-4 after beating their opponents of Mousesports on map number 1, 5-3 on Bank. An extremely close game between both of these teams.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend anybody to come in and watch both games, because both games will show you two completely different ways of playing Bank and playing Kafe.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind that the second week is going to be a little more evenly matched than the first week because it's closer to the middle seeds as opposed to the first week where we have the first seed versus the 8th seed, and we saw that could be a little bit brutal. But
Yeah.
we did see a good 2-0 from both games. Neither of them was a 2-1. So while they were both really good fights put up by both teams,